Saturday, April the 7th, 2018. Wrestleview Live 32. It is WrestleMania weekend. We are here on YouTube Live on the front page of Wrestleview.com. And we have a panel of gentlemen. We're sexist here at Wrestleview.com, and we're going to be talking about NXT TakeOver. We're going to talk about the extremely long Hall of Fame ceremony. And we're going to talk about some news. There's some news, actually, in the last couple, I would say last 48 hours. There's been some good stuff to talk about, so we'll hit that. And we have some new dramatic music and some new graphics, and this is the first time we're doing a panel show. I'll just go around the panel here. We'll start with Doug Lackey. Douglas, usually it's just you and I rambling and ranting, and we brought in some other gentlemen this evening because it's such a big weekend. But you're fresh from the Twitches and watching Ricochet flip around with Will Ospreay, and
God,
how we doing?
Don't make me relapse, dude.
Too early to talk about it right now.
It's way too soon to talk about that.
Way too soon.
Okay. We just had Ricochet. I said Ricochet, like REEC. Ricochet was on the show tonight, and I was fearing for my life.
Ricochet, I know. We'll talk about him a little bit. And then we're also joined by Mike Tedesco, who seems like he was sleeping momentarily, although he was recapping NXT TakeOver for us this evening. And is back in the saddle.
I'm like that guy, that meme that was like sitting in front of his computer with the jism all over the screen, all those kickouts. I got a little too carried away. I'm really exhausted.
There was a lot of kickouts tonight, so we'll talk about your. Although you called me today, well, you left me a message that you said I was brave for have sat through the Hall of Fame last night. So
yeah,
we'll talk about that a little bit.
Tough.
And we also have another gentleman who I believe this is the first time you've been on an official podcast. You joined us a little bit on the 20th anniversary of Wrestleview podcast, which we did the night of the 25th anniversary of Raw, to not be confused. That was super confusing for some people. They're like, are you guys celebrating 25 years or is it 20? And we kind of confuse people. But we have Roy Nemmer, the brother of Paul Nemmer, the owner of Wrestleview. And Roy's been... You've been stepping up and helping us out on the website in the last year. I think it's been almost a year now that you've been helping us with social media stuff. So this is a kind of an anniversary for you, so to speak.
Yeah. It's Roy Mania 1 type of thing. It's been about a year. Sorry, I know you guys downgraded. You got the wrong Nemmer. The other one is unavailable at the moment, so you're gonna have to deal with me.
No, you're good. No, you're all good. You're all good. Roy's a longtime wrestling fan, but he's kind of a big deal in the soccer world. But we convinced him to do some podcasting with us this evening.
When do I get my mania?
Well,
I want a mania.
I thought you had the.
Can I have a mania?
I thought you had the Lackey Club. I thought we were going.
Oh yeah, that's right. I've got a club.
I'm still working on the Lackey Club T-shirt too that I'd like to have in time for. If you're going to come to Chicago, are you all in, Doug? Have you decided? Are you all in? Or are you going to not do? Yeah, you're not sure yet, because there's a lot of.
I'm not sure yet. A
lot of Young Bucks stuff. If you want to get involved with that. Anyway, let's talk about TakeOver because it just finished about 20 minutes ago. I thought on the schedule they said the show was going to end at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, and they went pretty long tonight. But for good reason. They had a pretty good main event. There was, 2 title changes tonight, I believe, and then there was a first ever champion crowned. So I should preface before we came on here, we were all having kind of a discussion about how I don't think any of us on the panel here are like hardcore NXT fans, but when there's a special, I'm pretty sure we all check it out and kind of dive in, which kind of makes sense because that's what they build to anyway, is the whole purpose of these specials. But Mike, you recapped the entire show this evening, and first of all, was this your first or second TakeOver that you've recapped, or is this? I thought you've done one more.
I remember I did one where they were in Britain, and it was like midday. That was like the only other one I think I recapped. I've been to a few. I went to the very first one in Brooklyn back in 2015 when they had the great Sasha Banks Bayley match, and then I went to the one. I didn't see it. I don't know how it happened, but I went to a 5-star match with Johnny Gargano and Cien Almas back in Philadelphia this past January.
That's right. I forgot you were there live for that one. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it was really good. You know what? This is like This is the spot where I envy most of my friends who are just casual wrestling fans, where they just tune in for the pay-per-views and they're like, wow, it's really great. And I watch Raw and SmackDown. I'm like, oh, this I can't believe, I don't know why I'm doing this. It's nice. I don't watch any NXT whatsoever. And then I just drop in and get the glory of the pay-per-view, and I love it. And then I take a couple months off and go back to it when they have another TakeOver show.
I think that's
kind of nice.
That's kind of a nice way to watch the product, I think. I mean, I know, it's a 1 hour show every Wednesday, so it's not like it's not a 3 hour Raw or a 2 hour SmackDown. So it's not a lot of commitment, but they put enough stuff on YouTube where you can kind of see everything that's going on, for the most part. So it's not like you're missing much if you're not watching the show on the network every week, but it's become a, kind of a tradition now to have an NXT TakeOver part of a big weekend. And I want to say this time, well, I guess the San Jose show, which was the last time Brock and Roman had a main event, that was the first year where they went, oh, we might want to actually start broadcasting these shows instead of just holding these shows. And I remember there was like a backstage reaction to it a little bit. So ever since that time, we've had some kind of big takeover show during Mania weekend, but that's since expanded to the Rumble and to SummerSlam and to Survivor Series. But there was a ton of stuff that happened on the show tonight. So what I would rather honestly do is have everyone kind of go around the panel here and just kind of highlight some of the stuff that stood out to you or something that you liked, instead of just tearing it apart match by match, because that's what 1,000 wrestling podcasts are going to do on YouTube this weekend. But and I'll roll with Mike first, since you were sitting there recapping the show. But anything in particular that stood out to you that you really liked, or anything that maybe kind of annoyed you a little bit about the show? I know I just contradicted myself there when I said we should focus on stuff we liked, but you come from a different perspective, because you had to sit there and recap the entire 3 hour show tonight.
Yeah. And I'm also the guy, not very popular, I guess, among the entire wrestling community. Whenever I make these opinions known, I am not a big fan of the flippy things. I'm not a big fan of a million kickouts. I'm not a big fan of, moves that just look so devastating and then they're just forgotten about, transition moves. I don't understand why you would want to kill yourself and just make it a nothing move. Like, you're actually really physically harming yourself, and then it means nothing. So what means anything anymore? It's like, all that stuff. But having said that, I really did like the Johnny Gargano match, because I really like what Gargano brings to the table in terms of his babyface apparel, the way he sells, the emotion that he draws, the emotions that he, portrayed when he went to go hit him with the crutch and he stopped and he had that whole entire look on his face. I thought it really pulled me right into it. And it was really just phenomenal. I was really blown away by it. And it's heads and shoulders beyond anything that's on the main roster. And God, I wish I could bottle it up and give it to a few people that are, in featured positions on the main roster, because it would really help them greatly. Johnny Gargano he's phenomenal.
Doug, I know the last time we did a show, I think we did something around the time of the last TakeOver show where we were talking about Gargano and Almas, their match, and you were kind of like, let's not get too hyped about this kind of stuff. But he is kind of, it's almost unfortunate. He was becoming sort of a version of Daniel Bryan on the NXT roster, and now Daniel Bryan's back tomorrow. So that's kind of unfortunate timing for Johnny. But, listening to what, Mike was saying, it was better than most stuff you'll see on the main roster in terms of emotion. I kind of don't disagree with him there, but I think because of how the microcosm of NXT is, they can kind of focus on 2 or 3 kind of key stories, whereas on the main roster, it's nearly impossible to, you can have 2 or 3 stories that stand out, but unfortunately, there's going to be so much content that they're producing, which I honestly think we should mention that later tonight, of just how many hours of content they're producing this weekend alone. But Doug, listening to what he said there about the match, because I know you were mixed emotions on the last one. How did you react to this one tonight?
Almost the same way. Well, I don't want to say almost the same way, because this match had way more of a story than Almas Gargano, Dark Overlord, Meltzer 5-star match had. This one actually had a story behind it. I really love that dramatic irony at the end, where the knee brace comes off and Ciampa tries to take him out with his bad knee. Nope, he gets taken out by his own knee brace, and his knee brace is used to make him submit and tap out. I really love that kind of comeuppance, and we've seen comeuppance like that happen in many different matches. Also in the WWE, it's happened before. But it's great when it happens like this, and it happens so few and far in between. But I guess the problem that I have with the match, though, is this is an unsanctioned match. I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. Because unsanctioned matches beat the shit out of each other. Okay? You can't be telling me, because this is an unsanctioned match, I can finally do this off the second turnbuckle power bomb into the knees and, but you're going to kick out anyway. No, grab a chair and beat the shit out of each other. I mean, how much do you hate each other? Show me your hate. Show me your hate. I love Ciampa showing him how troll he is when he's stomping him in the back of the head and he's sitting on the apron just kind of patting on the back. That was fabulous.
Yeah,
that's fabulous of him. He can fit this role of trolly heel perfectly. But can it go beyond Gargano? That's what I'm concerned about. Can Gargano be the babyface in peril beyond Ciampa? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm taking away from this pay-per-view that I liked personally, I enjoy Lars Sullivan and Killian Dane throwing Ricochet around like a stuffed doll.
Yeah, I love that.
Because I wanted vengeance for the shit that I watched Wednesday. And there was no better way for me to enjoy it than to see those two try to one-up each other, tossing a small human being around who flips around too much. I need more of that in my life. I need more.
In the chat, Torqueman said that Gargano Almas was just a title match. Tonight was a legit grudge match, so there was kind of a different, little bit of a different vibe with this match, probably than.
And with that being said, Meltzer's going to give it 3 stars.
Probably, so. Yeah, I know, because it's not a real match. Although, there is some stuff that Meltzer will totally love, that I'll be surprised by. So I don't know. I do admittedly dive in and see what he thinks, but I can kind of anticipate the kind of style match that he's going to praise over something else. Roy, you mentioned, this isn't the NXT product is not a regular thing you're viewing, but you got a chance to see this main event tonight, this grudge match, unsanctioned. It's always funny when they ring a wrestling bell when it's supposed to be unsanctioned, but it's I thought that wasn't, the part of it, but what do you, as someone who's kind of casually sliding in tonight with NXT, I'm always intrigued to hear somebody that's just not balls deep in the indie scene and these guys and just they know all their moves and how long they've been wrestling. I'm always interested to hear someone's perspective on that. So what did you make of the main event tonight?
I liked it. It was different. It was different from a lot of the matches that we presently get on the main roster in the WWE. I thought the pay-per-view as a whole was good, very, very good. I was sort of parachuted into this pay-per-view. I had no idea backstories, nothing at all. All my information came from essentially, the promo packages, the video packages before every match. And that was cool. All right, learning some of the wrestlers as I'm going along, the stories and whatever. That said, the video package I thought for the main event was great. I really learned a lot on the backstory. In comes the match itself, and it was different. It was different. NXT as a whole feels different from the WWE. I was surprised. I was very, very surprised by how much the fans are invested in the product. Someone like Adam Cole, I had no idea who he was earlier. 4 or 5 hours ago, no idea. Heard of him once, twice. Didn't know how he looked like. No idea. And then, you hear the fans chanting his name and this and that. Adam Cole, Adam Cole. I'm all right, a fan favorite. And then every match, there was something. The crowd was hyped. And yeah, no, I definitely liked it. Is it something I'd be able to sit through every week for 1 hour, probably not. Already seeing through the main product is difficult enough as it is sometimes. But in terms of specifically the main event, I thought was great. Some of the spots were dangerous to say the least. Obviously that power bomb, and there was a suplex as well from the announce table. That one was pretty brutal. I don't know why, just from camera angle. But it was different. It was different. And now I know why a lot of people say, oh, the NXT TakeOver shows tend to be better than the main pay-per-view the following night.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's I saw there was a dude who was tweeting at us, and he was like, before the show started, he goes, this show's going to be better than WrestleMania. And then when the show was over, he quickly tweeted us, I told you it was. And I was like, you haven't even seen WrestleMania yet. Like, you're just, and then, again, that's my one, and Doug and I have just dug that narrative to the grave on our podcast. And it's the one thing that drives us nuts about the hardcore indie scene audience, that I'd rather watch Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes tear it up than watch, it's just, I get it. Like
knock yourself out, go right ahead.
And that's taking place right now. And that's cool. Like, whatever kind of wrestling you're into is fine with me, but I hate the snarky snobbiness side of wrestling fans. It's a giant turnoff. But Roy brought up something good that I'm glad that he brought up was, some of the scary spots, which was, that power bomb over the concrete. Like, that was very dangerous. Just the sound of his back slapping off of that was really scary to watch. But they do a very good job of doing that stuff. What's up?
That made my stomach hurt when I heard it.
Really?
And then replayed it again. It actually made my stomach kind of flip, because I was like, oh my God. Because I grew up reading Have a Nice Day, and I remember Mick Foley talking about taking the power bomb from Vader on the concrete and how he got the concussion and all that stuff. And I was like, man, you could really mess yourself up doing that. And guess what? It meant nothing in the end. Why did he do it in the first place? I know. It meant nothing.
It's frustrating to watch sometimes but there's like an emotion aspect though to a lot of these main events that I don't get that feeling a lot when I watch a lot of WWE matches. It's just finishers and kickouts, but there's just something that NXT, when they're in there telling stories and stuff, and there's a lot of emotion. Like, that's the same thing I got from the last Johnny wrestling match against Almas, was just like, even if you didn't really like the match, like, there was just a lot of emotion there, and it kind of makes you pay attention. I think it was Doug earlier that you said you were taken aback at Mauro Ranallo on commentary calling Tommaso Ciampa a son of a bitch on commentary tonight.
Yeah, there was just something. First off, Mauro's voice is like embedded in my brain right now. There's just, but I'd say that in a bad way. Okay, hearing him say "son of a bitch," and we've never heard him curse at all. Rarely that you get hell out of him, but you don't get anything else out of him. And when you heard him say "son of a bitch," you're like, oh, I'm paying attention now, Mauro. Yes, this yes, don't scare me like that. But my problem with Mauro is when he first debuted and got on was on the SmackDown team and everything. It was great to hear a refreshing voice, that had a very broad vocabulary, and he's great at describing everything. His ad-libbing analogies are fantastic. And everyone is complimenting him that he pays attention to the match, and he's always talking about what's happening in the ring, and he's not diverting away from storylines or something else like that. But now, to me, it's gotten really annoying. I can only stand so much of Mauro right now, because everything to him is so awesome. Everything to him is so magnificent. Everything, there's no difference between him calling a headlock and him calling a powerbomb to the concrete. There is no difference between him getting laid for the first time in 5 years and getting a piece of toast. There's no difference between anything that he calls, okay? And so when I heard him say "son of a bitch," I'm like, oh. Yes, Mr. Mauro. I am with you now. Yes, this is exciting. This is important that we are watching right now. So I guess, and what's even weirder is the announce team in general for NXT. The last NXT TakeOver show they had, it was just him alongside Percy. Percy is pretty good when it's just him and Mauro, and he plays off pretty well. Yes, Mauro hogs all the mic time with all of his descriptors and everything, but Percy did a pretty good job. But then we came back to square one where he's basically Beth Phoenix on the mic saying all the lines that are fed to him and not having any kind of any kind of imagination of his own. And Nigel, he's working off of Mauro a little bit more and being, that former pro wrestler. I don't know what Percy was. I think he was a former pro wrestler, but he never really talks about it that much because he's already too busy talking about what everyone's telling him to say through the headphones, and he can't really ad-lib that much. Nigel does a good job. I'm kind of going off in tangents right now because Mauro is in my skull.
Son of a bitch. No, he does. So I noticed when they did that spot where someone got tossed over the announce table and his headset got flown off, and he audibly yelled his "Mamma Mia" line that he always does, and then the entire audience started going "Mamma Mia," and I was like, so they just know, like, so if anything, that proves your point, Doug, that they know when he's expected to like yell and freak it. It reminded me a lot of Mike Tenay and TNA, where he would just Don West and Mike Tenay would yell about everything, and it got to the point where like everything was important, every match was awesome, every match had 4 stars, and then you get like I remember watching TNA pay-per-views in like 2005, and it was just like a constant like cocaine high for like 3 hours because every match was important. Oh my God, did you see what he just did? And they're yelling and screaming, and then let's go to the back now, and there's a promo, and it can be a little bit too much at times. So I get what you're saying about Mauro. He can be a bit much at times. So I don't. Oh my God!
They unlocked the door to the post office. We've got to get there now.
Pretty much. That's unfortunately how it goes. I wanted to mention the 6-man ladder match. So I was looking forward to this because I intentionally did not watch anything much of Ricochet. I know Doug unfortunately watched that New Japan match from what was it, like 2 years ago.
I've been squeezing this stress ball the entire time.
Ever since you watched that match. There's a very popular match from 2 years ago between Ricochet and Will Ospreay that a lot of wrestling fans loved. I was not in the group of people that loved it. I thought it looked really silly. But some people really loved that style of wrestling, and they thought it was innovative, and it was. I will give them that it was something that I had never seen before, but I didn't walk away from it thinking it was good. But a lot of people did. I was in the minority, and a lot of people liked it. So when he signed with the company, I was kind of intrigued. What are we going to get from this dude? Still a lot of flippy stuff, but not. I wouldn't say it was to the level at which you watched, Doug, in that match.
No, not at all.
No. It was a little more toned down. I liked the Killian Dane, Lars Sullivan stuff the most. That to me was the highlight of the match. Was no matter what the Velveteen Dream guy did, or Adam Cole, or Ricochet, or EC3, these two big fucks would just. I mean, they were calling them like Godzilla and King Kong on commentary, and it was true because like they would use ladders and they were tossing people out of the ring. And Lars Sullivan is so awesome. Killian Dane is so awesome. We really zeroed in on Killian Dane during the last takeover when they did War Games, and how, I mean, there's a reason this dude was in this match tonight. I mean, he obviously made an impression that night, and they booked him in this one. But I'll start with Roy. So I'm sure a lot of these individuals were new to you. Maybe EC3 was someone kind of familiar based on the Impact days. But this was probably a match filled with dudes you had never really watched before. So what was your takeaway from this? And of course, Adam Cole winning the title.
Yeah, it was different. The only thing I didn't like, as a side note, was right before the match, the bell rings and everyone starts chanting, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
Man, fuck off. Like, how many times are we going to get that? No, it just rang. You're just starting to chant, "This is awesome." It's a bit excessive. But anyways, no, the match itself was, for me, it felt like a lighter version of 205, like with all the flips and everything, all the moves. Definitely a lighter version of 205 with the ladders and everything. I knew EC3. The only reason I know of EC3 was because of Impact, like you mentioned. I was at the Bound for Glory clusterfuck pay-per-view a couple of months back.
Yeah.
But I was impressed. The two big guys, crazy talented, very, very talented. The Velveteen Dream, that was the guy with the, I call them the Rick Rude tights.
Yeah.
Where he had like the colors. Yeah. Impressed, although I'm trying to like, looking back at the match and looking back at all the the individuals in that match, I'm trying to wonder how many of them could actually make it to the senior roster, to the main roster. And I'm looking at, to be honest with you, probably just the two big guys that you were talking about. They're very agile, very, very agile, very mobile, big guys. The rest, I was not too impressed by, to be honest with you. The ladder match had some cool little spots, some dangerous spots as well. And I was curious as to who would get the title, but to be honest with you, for me, this was, I wouldn't say the letdown of the night, because I did miss the women's match, so I don't know, I can't comment about that one. But I was definitely expecting, I got what I expected, which was, as I said, a lighter version of 205, where, less flips and tricks, but we still got a lot of that off ladders.
Mike, did anybody, because I know you've seen a lot of EC3 stuff in Impact. It was weird. I was paying attention to him because there was this like groundswell of like, oh shit, he's here. And then when stuff was happening, the crowd was not really into anything that he was doing. And they were kind of almost focused on, okay, here's this Ricochet dude. And they're really booking him as like, especially Triple H, like anytime he talks about him, he's like, you just put on a seatbelt, man. And I get it. Like that's how they're marketing him and advertising him, and that's fine. But I was just kind of like waiting for Ricochet to do flips and there's one, and I know this is me being overly picky, and I know I'm probably going to get totally trashed in the chat right now, but I can't fucking stand it in professional wrestling when someone is going to do aerobatics or high flying stuff, and the person that is about to receive that move has to wait like 3, 4, 5 seconds and is just staring at him like a dumb fuck. Like, I know we have to suspend our disbelief and we have to really just kind of like go for the ride and go for the entertainment. But when they're staring at somebody for almost 4 seconds, when they could just step off to the side, like sometimes you just kind of have to pull an audible. And I know obviously when someone's jumping off the top rope, you're kind of in charge of them when they land. So that would be very careless of you to just kind of step aside because you want it to look a little better. But there was a couple times that happened with Ricochet tonight, but he also had some other spots where, he would just flip off the ladder, and I was like, Jesus, like, so, it's not the kind of wrestling I'm like super into, but I understand, like, I was thinking of this, Mike, of like, remember the first time you saw Rob Van Dam wrestle, and like, he was like unlike anybody you had ever seen before. So in that regard, he could be kind of the main roster's new RVD in that. His gimmick is that you just don't know what he's going to do and what he's going to pull off, but it's all based on the aerobatics of what he's doing in the ring. But what did you think of him tonight and the 6-man ladder match?
I thought well, I'd only see really all I had ever seen of Ricochet was basically that little highlight video of him and whatever that other guy was from Japan, the one that Doug watched. I don't know if that's the same one, but it was obnoxious. So it was well toned down tonight. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like, Mysterio in like WCW in like the mid 90s. And that's the guy that they've been missing. That kind of like small little flippy giant killer guy. Maybe that's what they're building him up to be, because they tried that with Sin Cara, it didn't work. They tried that with Kalisto, it didn't work. Now they have Ricochet. He has a decent look. He's a small guy. And I guess I could see like a market there for him for that. So I thought that he had a good showing. It was very spotty, but it wasn't as obnoxious as I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed the ladder match because I enjoyed like train wreck matches like that, I suppose. But I think I saw one too many ladder bridges tonight, and I'm pretty exhausted from the ladder bridges now. It's like, how many do we need? We had one in the corner, we had 2 outside. Gosh, it was just wild. And then they were bridging pieces of the commentary table and signing people through. It was just too much for me.
A lot of chaos, though. I mean, there was a lot of crazy shit. I'm going to put one up on the screen where, like, Lars Sullivan literally, like, dove EC3 into, I think it was it Velveteen Dream?
Yeah, it was Velveteen Dream.
They cracked the
I gotta
ladder
say,
in half.
I love that fucking Velveteen Dream guy. I love that guy, Patrick from Tough Enough. That was just so much fun. I loved him when I went to Philadelphia. They hooked me. The crowd, like, I just kind of fell into it when he was going against, fattest Ono and doing that 30-second thing or whatever. That was awesome, and that pulled me in. I knew of him coming into this, and I was a fan, and I loved pretty much everything he did in this match. It was just fun. It's fucking stupid as hell. I have no business at 30 years old enjoying shit like that, but I do. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I love that damn Velveteen Dream. Man, oh man.
Doug, I remember the last time we talked NXT, you were very focused on Velveteen Dream and how it's just nothing that's in that company right now. And I noticed Mauro was doing a lot of like Gold Dust and it was a bunch of names he was dropping, Adrian Street and people like that, where he was trying to make that comparison. But I don't know if that helps or hurts him, but he does definitely stand out. So that's not a bad thing. I wouldn't think.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, well, let me see. The one thing that stands out between him and, all of the others is that not the obvious that he's black and they were white, but that he actually does actual, physically demanding stuff. Like the sucker did 3 or 4 elbow drops from the top rope or ladder. Okay. In comparison to what Goldust or Adrian Street or my personal favorite, Adrian Adonis would do.
Yes.
Okay. It's not just, the sexual ambiguity of it all that is, by God, just so fantastic, but it's just that right amount that gets clouded over by everything that he actually does in the ring and that all the mannerisms that he has in the ring. The only thing is this kind of the ladder match that he was in here didn't really exactly showcase what he can do as a character. I'm not talking, he did the moves and stuff. No, I'm talking about, facial expressions, bodily expressions and stuff like that. This wasn't the match to showcase that. It was just really just to insert him in. I really would have loved it in this match if he was the humor. If he was, the sideshow humor of this ultra serious match. You've got Flippy Dippy Munchkin Little Critter Ricochet. You've got Baron Von Underbite Lars Sullivan.
Love him.
You've got Killian Dane, the bus from Ireland that just goes at 60 miles an hour. You've got Adam Cole Bay, whatever that is. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm glad Roy has joined me in that club.
Yeah, the Bay Club. Yeah. They love saying it, Doug. Doug, listen, that there was a crowd of like 13,000 people that love to scream Bay at the end of his name. And it's just, it's a thing. You have to accept it.
And then you had Ek3, who I'm just going to call Squarehead. Okay, because that's what he is. He's Squarehead. I didn't watch any of his stuff in TNA or anything like that. I'm just going to call him a Squarehead. He reminds me of that fucking kid on the bike in Ed, Edd n Eddy is what he reminds me of for some reason. He's got a square head.
He does.
Just a big square head, okay? But I just described the 5 guys except for Velveteen Dream, okay? All the other 5 guys were really taking this match seriously. If they'd have had Velveteen Dream being the slapstick humor of this match while also driving the elbows into them and all of this, if he was doing some posing, if he was, mocking the crowd a little bit, blowing some kisses or, doing everything he can to get under the skin of other people, then you'd really see Velveteen in action, but this was just him leaping off of things with his neat tights.
I'm kind of wondering if EC3 is going to be a hard sell in this company because, well, if you remember, he was
very hard sell.
He was Derek Bateman in the early, I think, like 3rd or 4th season of NXT, and he had a very, very brief stint on SmackDown in like 2011, I think, or 12, and his gimmick was that he would always talk about a chip on his shoulder, and he had a literal chip on his shoulder during promos. So that's the joke. And that didn't last very long. And he got released. And then his gimmick in TNA was that he was the nephew of Dixie Carter, who was the president of TNA. So he was like a rich kid and had, rich kid benefits and would get title shots and would get opportunities over other wrestlers. He's still keeping that same name, but they didn't really, and again, it's only a couple weeks in, so I can't like sit here and be like, well, they've already screwed it up, but it's kind of a hard sell for people that have no idea of his history in TNA. And they are struggling to figure out who he is.
Yeah, they sort of alluded to that, or they mentioned it. I think it was Mauro. I'm not sure. As he was coming down during his entrance, he said, "Oh, this is someone that got everything handed to him, never had to work a day in his life, and this and that, and this and that." So then, when I heard that part, I'm like, oh, "Okay, so this is sort of the gimmick they're giving him." I didn't know if it was a play on off his TNA gimmick or not, but I found that part very, I don't know, just pretty random to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of EC3. It reminded me of a very stale version of Chris Masters, which was a rough sell anyways.
He kind of looked like first of all, he was like juiced to the fucking gills.
Oh, fuck yeah.
My God. Mm-hmm. But his face, like there's something about his head that I don't like. It's there's something about the proportions of it. He looks like a cartoon. He looks like he walked out of Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling cartoon.
Yeah.
He looks fucking weird. He's just, I don't know. And by the way, Adam, you said earlier, and don't think I forgot about it. You said, "Oh, Mike, I'm sure you watched the TNA stuff with these. How dare you? I would never watch that."
I thought you did. I thought. So I'm like probably the only person on this this Wrestleview panel that actually watched his stuff in TNA. So I'm very familiar with him, but I was a little surprised at how people were just like, "Oh, he's here," and there was not much response to him tonight. So that was a little.
Well, they set him up in a match where he really couldn't be showcased because you had the Killian Dane and Lars Sullivan thing, which was fucking awesome, which we already talked about. You had Ricochet, who they were purposely setting up spots for him so he could shine. You had Velveteen Dream. And in fairness to Velveteen Dream, Doug, he did get busted open in this match and was sidelined for a little bit. So I don't know if that might have played into some of the spots that he may or may not have been able to do.
Sure.
But. There just wasn't a lot of shine for EC3. There wasn't. It was a weird situation to put him into.
Anything else on this show? Because I know, Roy, you didn't get a chance to see the women's title match. Shayna Baszler beat Ember Moon to become the new women's champion. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly beat the Authors of Pain and Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong turned on the UK champion, Pete Dunne, in this match, which shocked everybody. And then we had the...
I don't want you to get killed. It's Pete Dunne.
Dunne or Dune? Sorry. I don't know who gives a shit, right? At the end of the day. Sorry, everybody. But it's not on the main roster. I know he showed up on an episode of Raw or something. Kurt Angle introduced him, but he's the bruiserweight. So I know the monikers, but sorry.
You want to talk about weird faces and weird shaped heads.
Yeah, he's got a weird one on him.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and he's only like 22, 23. I mean, like...
Yeah, he's young.
Like that at 22, 23. I don't even look like that at 30. I don't know what the fuck is going on right now.
I don't know what's happening. By the way, Mike made a powerful statement at the end of his recap this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we let's zero in on this here. Let me actually bring up the tweet because I was going to show the poll results, but
yeah, but who cares about what people say or think? Let's talk about what Mike said.
Well, because Mike's the reviewer. Mike said,
I agree with you, Doug.
Mike said WrestleMania has a hell of a show to follow tomorrow. NXT absolutely tore the roof off the Smoothie King Center. Unreal. My hat is off to each and every performer. So you are that guy now, Mike. But not that I thought the show stunk or anything, but you've kind of stepped into that role of like, they got to follow this up. Because to me, this show has absolutely nothing to do and should never be compared to WrestleMania, in my opinion. But
no, and I'm not comparing it to WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I finish your point. I'm sorry.
No. That's all I wanted to say. You get the floor. Okay. Uh-oh. Skype's screwing up.
Performers, there's of course some friendly competition that goes along in these things. That the main roster's watching, they want to one up it.
Sure.
It's just with how long that they're going to make WrestleMania tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's true.
In order to make it like a show that flows really well, it really is. They're handicapped by the length of their own show. It's too much product.
And in that regard, I do understand what you were trying to say. Tomorrow is going to be 7 hours with a kickoff show. Could be a little bit longer. Doug's face right now. And what's great is that supposedly we might be getting John Cena and The Undertaker, so that's not officially confirmed yet. So we could actually have an even longer show. Roy just went, Jesus, he sat back in his chair.
Right. No, but like just imagine being in that crowd. Imagine being at the Hall of Fame, NXT, WrestleMania. You're talking about easily 10 to 15 hours of content alone.
It's a lot.
In 3 days, that's a shit ton.
Let's not talk about the content. Let's talk about the creatures that are there, like physically there. Okay, these are creatures that I'm not even throwing money out there. Okay, these are creatures, and by the way, these creatures, I think there are 3 or 4 of them that are actually members of our Facebook media page. Yeah. So no, I'm not meaning to make fun of you guys.
He is a little bit,
but yeah, I am kind of.
Fuck you, Frank. Yeah,
no, I'm fuck you, Frank.
Yeah, this is a fuck you,
Frank and Chad. But seriously, think about this. They are going to all of this stuff. They're going to at least 1 or 2 WWE Access things. Yeah. They're going to the Hall of Fame show. They're going to the NXT show. They're going to WrestleMania. They're doing all of this. I mean, do you think we complain about sitting on our butts watching this on TV? Okay, they're actually enjoying themselves. Okay, I mean, they're enjoying the show. They're enjoying everything they can of it. Believe me, if I was there, I'd be doing the same thing. But I don't know if we have any right to complain when it's actually, this is the Christmas for professional wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the one time of the year where not just the WWE trolls out 24 hours of content in the span of 3 or 4 days, but you have all of these other smaller rinky-dink federations taking advantage of what the WWE's doing to try to get their eyeballs and to try to get their foot in the waiting pool. I mean, Ring of Honor right now is doing a show right now trying to compete with NXT's show, and also trying to compete with the replay of the Hall of Fame ceremonies that were on USA Network running in conjunction the same time the NXT show was going on. Okay. There's all kinds of smaller little WrestleCon and little, conventions going on throughout the area right down there. It's kind of, again, it's like Christmas for the wrestling fan. And to me, I know we complain all the time about, oh, God, it's going to be a 7-hour slog. Oh, God. Well, damn it, can we go ahead and just try to enjoy it? I mean, every pay-per-view review that we do, I always try to lead with, well, let's talk about something that we enjoyed from the show.
And I get that,
but the bitch about it.
Because the problem is, though, is that this is a new thing, though, Doug. This isn't a common thing. Like, if WrestleMania for the last 20 years had been 7 hours long, I don't think we'd be having this conversation. The fact that
I don't think we could afford it because the pay-per-view price would be $150.
No, you're right. It's very true. It went from, I remember, as a kid, and then, even through the Attitude Era, they would co-promote. They would do the Sunday Night Heat 1 hour pre-show, and then you'd get a 3-hour pay-per-view. So we'd kind of get that vibe, but never before has it been, to this degree. And they only do it because they know people are going to watch. Like, honestly, if people just completely stop paying for subscriptions and stop watching stuff on YouTube and stop watching the television show, obviously we wouldn't be getting this much content. That's a direct response to how people have been consuming the content. But you're right, though. If you're in New Orleans, like Frank was telling us last night, that he totally skipped the Hall of Fame because he'd rather walk down Bourbon Street and have a couple drinks and just kind of and just take in the atmosphere, which is kind of what we did many years ago in Miami. I mean, we didn't go to the Hall of Fame. We went to Access, but we all made a conscious decision. Yeah, we're not going to do the Hall of Fame thing. That's just too much. And we wanted to take in as much, different things and just kind of see Miami and kind of relax a little bit. But it is a new thing, though. It's relatively new, and they're aware of it. And Triple H gave a little bit of a speech about this at the Hall of Fame. He was the person who introduced Kid Rock last night, and he was a very good marketing / advertising. Like, you're going to be in this giant stadium with people you don't even know, but you're going to share this atmosphere for upwards of 7 hours, and it's something that you're never going to forget. So there was definitely there's the pro and con to I personally, I guess I should say it's more of a 5-hour show than a 7-hour show, because I'm not sitting there watching the 2-hour kickoff show from start to finish.
Hell no. I'm going to be cooking food.
Most people are having food. Yeah, there's preparation and stuff like that, but it is new, though, and it's something we're getting used to, and I think eventually it'll subside as this goes on and on for the next couple of years. But It's a lot. It's a lot. Someone in the chat total up the hours. Scrolling back up to see if I can find it. I think they said upwards of 20 hours of content we're going to be getting from Friday till Tuesday with SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, somebody put it in the chat. No, I can't find it. So I want to give you credit.
I'll say this: having sat through the 7-hour thing last year, having went there live, attended it. There were certain points where I was just like, man, this just feels way too long. It was kind of like watching a string when we were in Miami, watching a string of Jericho versus CM Punk back to back to back. I was like, this is getting a little long here. I don't know how much more I can take of this, especially when we started getting to the, okay, now we have to have the match with every single woman on the roster. Then we have to have Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton with cockroaches and worms and shit like that. It was just like, we need to flow a little better, which was my argument at the Hall of Fame last night, and Adams too, I'm sure. The flow was off. It's just too much. You can't have a cohesive show that just fits nicely on your palate, when it's that long.
Exactly. We're having some technical difficulties because Roy just dropped out, so now all the scenes look goofy right now. So sorry about that. We'll try to fix that. Roy, for some reason, dropped out of the call. It was Andrew Elder in the chat who said that we're looking at 5, with the Hall of Fame being 5 hours, 20 hours of wrestling. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of lots and lots of content. I know everyone's head. I could fix everybody's heads right now, but then when Roy comes back, I'll have to fix it back again. Does everybody want me to do that? Because I can just do that. Let me just fix it. Sorry.
Wish I could see what it looks like.
It looks really silly right now.
I'm not looking at anything you're doing. I'm putting all of my faith and trust in you, Adam, and it's already dwindled 75%.
Well, here's the problem. This is why I don't like multi-video presentation. You're dependent on Doug's internet, Mike's internet, and Roy's internet. So if somebody's internet dies, this is what happens. So I probably should have created a scene with just me in case this happens. So now I know.
So what does that say about the family that owns the website Wrestleview doesn't have good enough internet to stay on a teleconference call?
I don't know. What does it say about?
Well, I think we're finding out right now.
I'm trying to get Roy to call back in, but he's
yeah, man, yeah.
So this is going to be distracting, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. Why are you playing Skyrim right now?
I don't know why he decided to hang up. He's killing me right now.
Get off the FIFA.
Yeah, sorry. I probably should set up a scene where...
It's definitely Paul doing multiplayer online right now. Definitely.
He's like, well, he's not even there. He's at Paul's house, but yeah. Let me, you guys want to talk amongst yourselves while I fix this a little bit here? Do you guys want to talk? Or wait, here we go. Oh, he's switching it down. Okay, so we'll just deal with it until Roy calls back. So sorry, everybody.
Okay.
It's going to look a little strange for now. Let's see. What else did I want to hit? I wanted to go to the poll here. Let's see. What was the final poll?
Okay, now here's the rule about this poll, Mike.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah,
we ask people, what do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs in the middle? I demand that you are not allowed to choose thumbs in the middle. Okay? You are a coward if you choose that. It's either it's good or it's bad. It's not a meh. It's either good or bad.
Oh, yes. I know. I created this poll. I know.
Oh, good. So what would you do?
Well, right now the winner is, well, it's a little early, but 93% gave the show a thumbs up. That's pretty overwhelming pretty fast. And this is typical post NXT, like everyone loves everything about NXT thing. So I'm kind of curious how this changes in the coming hours, because maybe some people still need to watch the show.
It could be NXT TakeOver, the cooking show, and they'll give it 93%. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
I'll love it anyway.
So I'm sure you've heard this, Mike, but Doug doesn't like the thumbs in the middle. He thinks it's non-committal. He's not a fan. I heard.
It's you know what, and I can agree with that. At this point in our lives, if you can have your own computer and have your own internet, you should be able to fucking pick a side. God damn it. Stop being a little bitch.
Take a stand.
Take a goddamn stand
once in your miserable fucking lives, you piece of shit wrestling fans. I'm sorry.
So that's pretty overwhelming, I would say at first. We'll see how that progresses. I'm gonna stick with this screen until Roy calls back in because it's gonna drive me nuts. I want
to have a little now that we have our little Miami WrestleMania troupe together. Anyway,
yeah.
I would like we had some fun times. I think we should have a friendly gentleman's wager, especially because you called us gentlemen when we came into the show. How many stars will Dave Meltzer give? What's the over/under?
You and Doug talk about that really quick. I'm gonna make a phone call. Hold on.
Okay.
What's
so
we're 4.5 on the ladder match.
What are you saying on the ladder match?
I'm gonna say he's gonna give it 4.5. I would think.
No. Ladder match he really doesn't do anything with. He'll probably go about 4.25, maybe 4.
Okay.
You know.
All right, I like that.
I'll go on your the women's match. Let's just face it, he doesn't watch a lot of women in anything on his television screen. So
not enough testosterone, no. But Shannon Baszler comes close, but I would give it 3.25.
Yeah, he'll be lucky to give it 3. Lucky.
Oh wow! I think he like blows his load on every single NXT show, and it's 3 or bust. I think.
Yeah, pretty much. Let me see. How about what's the others that we're looking at?
The
tag match? No way. He's going to give that like 1.
That I was thinking 2. I was thinking 2 actually, and I just said that whole entire spiel about him blowing his load, but I think it's going to be a 2.
Andrade and Aleister Black, probably 3.75.
Wow. Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking 4.25.
Yeah. And finally, the Gargano
6.
Ciampa
6.
He's probably going to go about 5.25.
Yeah. Oh, how could he, after 30 years, kill his own fucking gimmick?
The thing is, I'm learning a lot about Dark Overlord Meltzer's criteria when it comes to these 5-star matches that he has, and they all have the same kind of chemical makeup here, and it's the same stuff that Hunter Golden bitched about a lot during our days with Wrestleview Radio. Masturbatory mat work at the beginning. Okay, number 1. Then you'll have the obligatory outside the ring spot. Whether it be someone going against a grate or going against the table or something like that, that happens. Then after that, there is the masturbatory bitch slapping. Like boo yay. It happens all the time.
4 times.
4 times that happened. Whether it's for boo yay or it's just, oh, come on, hit me. You call yourself a man. And then finally there's the finisher kick out spots, and there's the oh no's, or he's trying to get a move on the guy, but it's not happening, but the move finally happens. Those are the chemical makeups of a Dark Overlord Meltzer 5-star match.
Yeah.
And Ciampa, Gargano, I'm base, and that's going to be like a 5.25.
Oh, he won't go that high. You think he will?
Oh, sure.
You think so? Okay.
He gave 5 to Almas and Gargano, and that didn't even have a story.
He did. I didn't know he went that high with it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the last time a WWE branded match had 5 stars.
Okay, I didn't know that.
SummerSlam. Now the SummerSlam main event from last year got 4.75.
Oh.
Yeah. So everyone take that food for thought. Let's learn more about our Dark Overlords.
Our Dark Overlord. Well, Doug watches Dark Overlord Meltzer matches on Twitch now, which YouTube does not like. We uploaded Doug's latest show, and New Japan kind of they try to pick on us. Roy, welcome back. You pretty much blew up the production, and I forgot to have a scene ready to go if someone's video dropped out. So appreciate it, bud. He goes, no.
Yeah, sorry about that, man.
No, your internet shit.
Darn Canadian internet.
You know what's great is I just texted Paul. I said, your internet sucks at home. He goes, what the fuck, man? I told him to wire the connection, man. I have a 300 megabyte per second connection, man. He's just blowing up my phone right now. So it's just, I just like to kind of poke the bear a little bit sometimes.
I can definitely believe that. Oh, yeah, I can definitely believe that.
Yeah, Wi-Fi.
Sorry about that.
Unfortunately, Wi-Fi and Skype do not like each other, and I've learned that over the years. Even though I think Mikey Tabasco might be rocking some Wi-Fi right now, which seems to be okay, but for the most part, they don't get along. So sorry that the video got all fucking goofy, but that reminds me I need to have a scene ready to go when that does happen. So it's a learning experience, and you learned with me.
You're welcome.
Roy taught me a lesson tonight, which is be prepared, because I'm an unprepared fuck sometimes.
Well, you see, like, my Wi-Fi works because we have a good infrastructure here in America.
Now there comes the Canada jokes, Roy. I was not
because
prepared
we invest so much in our Wi-Fi that we do our cancer research.
We're still trying to get 5G.
That is true, Doug. That is true.
I'm going to refrain from getting political.
Let's not get political. So I thought really, I know, Doug, you did not see the Hall of Fame last night, right?
No, but I did enjoy some pictures.
Okay.
Of Sam Roberts sitting by himself.
Yeah. So everyone bailed before Goldberg's speech because it was super fucking late. And I'll show you. I'll put some stuff up here on the screen. But so the show started at 8:00 Eastern and did not get done until close to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now they're in Louisiana, so they're on Central, right? New Orleans is on Central Standard Time, I believe. So
around time does move faster in Louisiana, so 4.5 hours there, I'm sure, only feels like 3.
Just a bit. I noticed there was Andrew Fisher was sending us some photos, and the Hall of Fame was not sold out. Was it sold out last year when you went to it, Mike?
No, it was not.
Okay, so, but I will say though, it's like, and we were having this conversation earlier today, that that show. So they had 8 inductees, and an hour and a half in, all they had finished was the Dudleys and Hillbilly Jim. And
Jesus Christ!
And I went, oh no, this is gonna go super fucking long. And like, I get not trying to be rude with cutting people off, but I think at some point you're going to have to say, hey, we'll give you 20 minutes. You can say a lot of things in 20 minutes. I think when they get out there and they look into the audience and they see people that they worked with, they start to think of stories, and that's fine. But like Hillbilly Jim he told a funny Andre the Giant story, but he was saying a lot of stuff that was just like, referencing wrestlers that a lot of people haven't heard of before.
Tough shit.
And it was just, it was, Edge and Christian got involved with the Dudleys thing, and then Devon and Bubba were arguing because now Devon has an office job, and they were just, I don't know. There was just some stuff on the show that I could have done with that.
Funny. That was funny.
It was all right.
Bubba goes, the joke was, Devon goes, or Bubba said, oh yeah, I get a lot of texts from the boys saying Devon's my producer, LOL. And Devon, said a little crack, and Bubba goes, yeah, well, if they had me as a producer, the match would get over.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
They were doing
a little tight.
They were getting a little feisty with each other. Ivory's was a little uncomfortable because she pointed out that she was not married, so this was going to be her wedding ceremony last night. So that was a little uncomfortable.
Brutal.
That was weird as hell because when I just listened to that, I just watched it during the pay-per-view when the TV cut out and I couldn't watch the women's match. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just catch up on Ivory's Hall of Fame speech. That's the only one I missed. And I'm playing, I'm like, what is this? It felt uncomfortable.
It was.
And she was trying to make jokes, and she was mentioning names, and it just felt flat. It felt really, really flat.
Yeah. There was a lot of laughing at her own jokes. It was getting weird, and it got weirder. And
I like the laughing at the own jokes. You're right. There was a lot of saying stuff and going, and then there was just pure silence. And there was, I will say, I actually really liked Kid Rock's speech because he came out and he immediately mocked how long people were talking. So he goes, I won't be up here too long. And he started clapping just to kind of like get that thing going. But he immediately goes, I was told not to talk about, religion and politics and stuff. And then he proceeded to talk about how much he wanted to body slam some Democrats. And they immediately went to audience shots, and everybody was laughing because that is the awkward thing that if someone starts to get political, but he brought it back and actually made it pretty fun. And he was talking about how in the music industry, the way that he's always on the road touring is very similar to professional wrestlers, and that they don't get to see their family a lot, and it's a lot of time away, and it's a rough life to live, on the road for 200 plus days a year. So his speech was pretty good, but I liked Jeff Jarrett's speech a lot. I did not like them singing to the With My Baby Tonight because that clearly was not rehearsed, and it was just uncomfortable, and that was a little odd. I was not a big fan of that one. But Okay, so we had mixed responses to the Dana Warrior thing. So it was 4 years ago that the Ultimate Warrior passed away right after he was in New Orleans when he had his return, when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Here is my issue with it. She spent about 15 minutes talking about him, and then she got into who the award was for. Who was for the Jarius J.J. Robertson, who, by the way, had a really funny dig at John Cena when he walked out, if you didn't get a chance to see it. But that was kind of weird to me that she kind of made it all. And again, I understand she lost her husband. That was a real shocking story, and that was a really shocking situation. But it was kind of like, wow, we're making this all about you then, okay? And that was a little uncomfortable. But then I also saw people on Facebook say, well, why wouldn't she? I mean, she lost her husband, and this was a hard time for her, and it's hard for her to come back to the city again and be around everybody and have those memories. So, you know, I guess it just depends on how you would view that. But
I think she's like fucking weird. She is just one of the weirdest people
Didn't you meet her?
I've ever seen. She's like Barbie on crack. There's something fucking weird about her. She's like C3 with like weird proportions, and like her hair, nothing looks real on her. But that warrior shit, that is like culty. Very fucking weird the way she talks about him and this whole lifestyle that they had, and like, you know, oh, he's with the gods and all that. I'm like, what? Like, this is fucking strange.
It is a little
this
weird.
is a bizarre sickness that she's force feeding to her kids. I'm like, my God, I can't imagine what that house was like when he was alive, because that guy was a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, a lot of people did not like him. A lot of people brought up a lot of stuff that the Warrior said before he was brought back into this company. A lot of homophobic stuff. A lot of you know, what you would call alt-right these days. It was very some very controversial stuff he said. And that was immediately. I remember that stuff was brought to the forefront when they announced him back for the Hall of Fame. But so yeah, I agree. It's a little awkward. I loved Mark Henry's speech. He did a little sexual chocolate reference. That was very funny. He started hitting on Stephanie in the front row, so that was funny. He cut a promo, and Doug, I don't know why, but I always go back to the Wrestleview radio days where you would talk about wanting to place your butt up against a wall because you'd be so scared of Mark Henry. Roy's face right now and Mike's face is so funny right now.
Well, yeah.
We both had this reaction.
Whenever I heard that voice or saw that, no, I just back away and I just make sure my ass is against the wall.
He cut this promo where he put on, you know, the salmon colored jacket that he wore. So he brought the jacket out and put it on, and he goes, so I got to say something. I want to tell everybody I'm not done yet. And then he starts cutting a promo at AJ Styles, and he's like, you got something that I want. And then he looks over and goes, now, Roman Reigns, I know you're not the champion, but you might be after Sunday, so you're going to have something that I want. And then he looked over at John Cena. He's like, you also never gave me a shot at the title when you were champion, John. And like all these people were like, wait, what? Is he really like, he was like doing serious promo. And then he goes, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing anything. But he had a really, he did something that I don't know. I'm sure that he cleared it before he said it, but he had them zoom in on his face, and he wanted to make it very clear that he thinks Owen Hart should be in the Hall of Fame, and that it's a travesty that he's not in the Hall of Fame. A lot of Owen's family was in attendance tonight or last night. So that's a controversial thing too, because a lot of people think that Owen's wife will never allow that to happen. I'm sure they could like honor him in some way, but she apparently wants nothing to do with the company and doesn't want to approve anything like that. So probably won't happen, but he did kind of make that very well known during his speech. And then literally like after he was done, we got sent a picture, and like all these people bailed because Goldberg's speech was closing the show, but it was going on like 12:30 Eastern time. So people bailed because they had to be up early for access and other media obligations. But Goldberg had a good speech. I actually did enjoy his speech, and he kind of addressed the elephant in the room about how his previous run with the company was pretty bad, and you know, he called out Sting and gave Sting a ton of credit, and you know, Diamond Dallas Page and a bunch of people that got him into the business. But whew, that was a long ceremony. So I can safely say I will not be attending the Hall of Fame next year when we go. Just no interest. I think I love the concept of the Hall of Fame. I love getting to look back and hear stories and stuff, but 8 people each giving a long speech, with commercials, it's just it's not. It's
they need
not
to take it off
of
broadcast television. They have to take it off broadcast television.
Well, they have that. That was all on the network.
Yeah, and they had commercials in between.
Little snippets. There's like an abbreviated, edited version that's going to be airing on the USA Network, which I would rather watch.
Yeah, that aired tonight.
Yeah, so I think I'd rather watch that than this long 5-hour, presentation, production, whatever you want to call it. A couple things I want to hit before we close up here tonight, because we're going to be doing more of these podcasts in the coming days, so more content from us too. We were bitching about them putting out too much content. A couple things that came down the pike today. They've added some new names to the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, so those people were here.
Oh, cool.
If you want to find out. People you would expect, like Elias and Gallows and Anderson. R-Truth, who's been injured, so that'll be his first match back. Yes. Sin Cara, Titus O'Neil, Apollo, Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, and Mike Kanellis, and then you can see the full list of people that are already confirmed.
Kanellis still around?
Yeah, he's still around. Well, they just had the baby, and he had the problem, the drug addiction problem. So he's addressed that, and now they've kind of made that public. So there you go. Okay. Another story that kind of came down the pike today too, actually just before NXT started, that Impact Wrestling has officially parted ways with Alberto El Patron, Alberto Del Rio. So that lasted a whole year. I do cocaine.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I can't get out the audio of him yelling about she's the one that had the cocaine when it was Patron and Paige at that Orlando airport. Yeah. So yeah, that was a little awkward there.
Piece of work.
But he was at the WWE headquarters earlier this month filming something for a Rey Mysterio project. So that at the time, the thought was maybe he was going to sign a contract to come back to the WWE.
I hope not.
But we'll see.
What did he bring to the table?
I'm not sure anymore. I mean, I thought he got in really good shape for his previous run in the WWE, but that one kind of didn't. That one kind of fell apart pretty quick. And
that was right off the bat. DOA, dead on arrival with Zeb Coulter and that weird fucking gimmick that they were doing or whatever. I mean, yeah, he beat John Cena clean, one of the few guys to ever do that, but that was it.
And I guess what he did was he was supposed to wrestle on a Twitch special that impacted versus Lucha Underground, and he just decided to no-show it. So, yeah, then they announced today that effective today he's been terminated. So, not sure. Can you really terminate somebody from Impact when they're getting paid on like a per show? I mean, I know his deal was different. He had a larger deal, but it's like, do you really get mad when Impact Wrestling decides to cut ties with you? I mean, it's just kind of
See, I liken Impact Wrestling now to like the people that complain about immigrants coming in the country and taking our jobs. Like if you're like, I saw this video, it's hilarious. It goes, if you're so unqualified for the job that you have to fight with an immigrant for this job and you can't get it, just kill yourself. It's like Impact Wrestling is the same fucking thing. Like you get fired from that, like what does it matter? It's not a real company.
And they're trying, and I give them credit. Like Scott D'Amore and Don Callis are real smart dudes, and they have a lot of experience in wrestling. But it's going to be an uphill battle, especially with the fact that Austin Aries is that company's champion, and he just showed up on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view tonight, or Ring of Honor special tonight. So it's like, he doesn't even have an exclusive contract, and there's a lot of contracts coming due. They're bringing in new talent. They're trying, but I don't know. It's just spinning wheels at this point with that company.
It's like signing a contract with a consumer product testing thing, and they just keep scratching your back.
Pretty much. That's kind of
get basic. Off my back.
There was a commercial that aired last night that showed a bunch of new content coming to the network this year. So I won't run down everything because there's a ton of stuff, but probably the thing that stood out the most was the Mae Young Classic is coming back this year, and they're going to bring back the United Kingdom tournament, but it looks like it's going to be called King of the Ring. It's going to be taking place in June in London. So, and also Bruce Pritchard, who has a very popular wrestling podcast, he's going to be doing a video version of it calling Something Else to Wrestle With on the network. So that was a little
because the Stone Cold podcast was doing so well.
I was waiting for Doug to get a dig in there. I was just waiting. I just knew right away Doug was going to be.
Are we going to do some more Talk is Jericho?
Probably not.
Or maybe Mick Foley's podcast. We going to bring that on now?
Or Jericho's. Remember they did a Jericho video podcast, and then that didn't last for very long. So
it was odd. That was a nice hot minute.
Yeah.
Well, they brought the Jericho one in because they got mad at Stone Cold, and then so they did Jericho instead of Stone Cold, and then they brought Stone Cold back, and then they just gave up on it.
Yeah, it failed. It failed miserably.
The other one was worth watching was the one with Vince. I thought that one was pretty damn good.
I loved when Vince goes, so how do people get a hold of you? He's like, what's your Twitter handle? And Vince is like, well, this is my Twitter. He goes, all right, so tweet your ideas to Vince. And Vince goes, ugh. Like off to the side. It's just the best. That was the best moment of that entire podcast was Vince just going, oh no, don't tweet me. I don't want to hear what you fucks have to say. I don't care what you think.
The whole Stone Cold podcast idea went off the rails when, he had great shows with, Brock Lesnar and Big Show. Those were fun. But then he did Dean Ambrose.
Oh, yeah. I never watched that one, but people always said it stunk.
Yes. It was horrible.
The one he did with AJ Styles was pretty good. The one with Paige was bad.
Oh, the one with Paige.
Yeah, Paige was bad.
Page one was terrible. Not a fan.
I do cocaine.
I do cocaine. I'm just going to think of that every time I think of Del Rio now. So that's going to be the new thing.
Although he did put Triple H kind of on blast. I do remember him talking about China, which got a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to that too. It's a little too unplugged.
Maybe they're just a little too unplugged there. No, you're right. It could be the case. Roy, I have some good news. Paul's been posting news on Wrestleview again. Have you been aware of this? That he's posting news now?
Who do you think has been sending him the news throughout the day?
Let's see. We gotta get the digs in with Paul. Paul Nemmer actually reported that John Cena was the highest paid WWE superstar of 2017, earning $10 million. So he overtook Bork Laser, who had the previous title with $6.5 million in the prior year. So that's a lot of money for old John Cena. Roman Reigns was number 3 with $4.3 million, and AJ Styles was number 4 with $3.5 million. That's probably the most money he's made in his entire run with TNA. So cash them checks, AJ.
Well deserved as well for AJ too.
Incredibly well deserved. Absolutely. And speaking of Bork Laser, this one kind of fell under the cracks because of Conor McGregor's, throwing a dolly through a window at the Barclays Center. But a day or two before that, Dana White confirmed that Brock Lesnar is returning to the UFC. He's not sure when, but he confirmed he is. And I guess this pissed off some people because they said, well, that gives away the finish of the goddamn main event this Sunday at WrestleMania. But we kind of know what's going to happen. Like, that's pretty obvious that Brock's going to be losing. But maybe they'll throw us off and not do that. I don't know, like they did a couple of years ago in California when they had Seth run out and cash in the briefcase. But a lot of people not too thrilled with that news coming out by Dana White. So,
how dare they spoil my professional wrestling show?
You son of a bitch. That's usually what they always say.
It's not as if I'm going to complain about how predictable this shit's going to be anyway.
That's very much
Didn't Dana White say he was going to WrestleMania actually to root on Ronda Rousey?
No, I don't think so, because he's got a pay-per-view tonight in Brooklyn, so unless he decides to fly out to New Orleans tomorrow, I doubt it.
The only reason I know that is Hunter Golden's been tweeting out the results.
Oh, Hunter's just balls deep in mixed martial arts now. He loves it. He's all about it. So, that pay-per-view's taking place right now, which was a doomed pay-per-view with everything that happened with Conor McGregor, unfortunately.
Well, now they need Lesnar more than ever.
Well, yeah, and I think Paul Heyman pointed that out. He's like, well, we don't know when Conor's going to fight again, and Ron is with the WWE, so now they kind of need an attraction. John Jones is suspended, and I mean, there's good fighters, but there's no one to that star power of a Brock Lesnar. So, but he's a lot older though, and he's going to have to get off the gas, and he's got 6 months of a suspension from USADA to still serve. So. We will see if Bork Laser abides by the USADA rules, because that will be interesting to see a deflated Brock Lesnar. Do we want to go over the WrestleMania card? Because I know Roy was asking if we wanted to give some.
Roy wants to tell us what he thinks.
Roy, we don't care what you think about WrestleMania. No, just joking.
Do you want me to disconnect again?
Do you want me to disconnect because I'm going to fuck up your whole...
the entire production?
I don't know, Roy. Is the Wi-Fi connection better in your closet here? Where the hell are you now?
Yeah, where did you go? It looks like you're in a closet right now. Where did you go? You just found a little quiet room? Or...
I went from upstairs to downstairs. I figured it out.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go over the card. So I'll put the card up on the screen here.
Yes.
So let's start with kickoff show. So this is what you're going to get on the kickoff show. These names obviously have been expanded on, but they decided to slap on both the women's battle royal and the Andre the Giant battle royal on the kickoff show, along with the Cruiserweight Championship, which I saw someone tweeting goes, can you help me support this hashtag that gets the Cruiserweight title match on the main card? I'm like, it's still at WrestleMania, so I don't know why you would. There's still people that really do get pissed off when matches are on the pre-show, and I've never understood, like, it's not you're still on the card. Like, I don't know. That was the same thing last year with Austin Aries and
payday.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I'd be pissed if I was like the Usos and it's, what is it, their 7th or 10th?
Well, that's
That's different.
That's different.
Cruiserweight's already tanking anyways.
Yeah, well, they're trying to get it back up there. So let's see. We got the women's battle royal. They've added a ton of more names from what I've put over here. I think I put them on this. No, maybe I didn't. Okay, I didn't. But I think there's a couple more names that have been added to that. But this one is well. First of all, the trophy looks like a uterus, as some have pointed out on the on Twitter. Just because they had the controversy with the Fabulous Moolah and then having to remove her name, and that there was all that. I don't know what this one does. Like, is this a thing that's going to elevate somebody by winning like a giant trophy, or is it just an excuse to? I mean, it's very similar to the Andre match where you want to try to get
anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
That's very much what it is. I know. It's very much like that. I honestly don't really have a pick, because I mean, I'd probably say either Bayley or Sasha Banks because of what they've been doing with them on television. But
yeah,
okay, same thing, Mikey.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck. All right, what about the Andre match? I think they are going to go with someone that's always a pet project. I'm going to say Elias. I think Elias is going to win that one. What do you guys think? Doug, Mike, Roy, thoughts?
Killian Dane.
Killian Dane. He's not in it, though. Unless they toss him.
He could be.
He could be. Okay, so you're Killian Dane. All right, Douglas?
Oh, God, you put me on the front there. I'm trying to remember who I said in my show. I think I said Elias. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Elias.
It was Elias. Roy, thoughts?
I'll go with someone said this. I don't remember where, but I'm going to go with Dolph. Dolph Ziggler wins it and destroys the trophy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did say Dolph would win it. Yeah, I did say that. Dolph would win it, and then he would kick the trophy.
Yeah,
I'll
go with that one.
Okay. What about the Cruiserweight Championship finals of the tournament? Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali. I'm going to say Cedric. Well, so they've been playing up this like background with Ali on YouTube. They've been showing these clips of like his family and his history. So I don't know if they're trying to like build sympathy for him, but I'm going to say Cedric Alexander for that one. New Cruiserweight champion. Douglas?
Mustafa Ali, because YouTube's and everyone is drawing really neat pictures of him on the Twitch, on the Twitter. That's all I see on the damn Twitter. There are people drawing pictures of their favorite wrestlers, and it's always Asuka and Mustafa Ali. And so, yeah, all the cosplay artists get to have their favorite rendition win a damn title, and then it's going to be lost because Brian Kendrick's coming back.
That's right. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
Mikey, Cruiserweight title. You watch these guys flip around a lot on Monday nights.
I do, and I'm glad that they're not doing it anymore. But I heard it's gotten better. I haven't watched a single damn episode. I have no interest whatsoever. But
Lucha House Party is fantastic.
I would go with I would probably go with Mustafa Ali.
Okay.
Why not? Let's have a little diversity here.
Okay. Roy, thoughts?
I'm looking for a coin to flip right now to see which one's which. I'll go with Mustafa Ali. There you go.
Okay, I'm the lone. I picked the only black guy. Everyone else is going with the Middle Eastern guy. I figured Roy would pick the Middle Eastern guy, but I wasn't sure about Mike and Doug there. So
that's racist, Adam.
That's racist. That's super racist.
That's racist, Adam. My God.
What about the two women's championship matches? We have Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax for the Raw Women's title, and then Charlotte Flair versus the undefeated Asuka. Douglas, thoughts on both picks?
I will take Asuka to beat Charlotte. I will take Alexa to retain against Nia Jax. And I'll take the porcelain Dalmatian and put the rest on gift certificate.
Mikey?
I'm going to go with Asuka, and then Carmella cashes in on her.
Oh.
And then Nia Jax, I think, is just going to squash her, kind of like China versus Ivory.
And you've been upset / disappointed with crying Nia Jax. I've read on your reviews. Not a fan of that, right?
Not a fan at all. Not a fan at all. This ginormous woman who should just be killing people is screaming. It's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. It's Vince McMahon trying to write women's storylines. It's weird.
Roy, women's title matches.
I'm gonna go with Alexa Bliss retains, and I'm gonna say Carmella cashes in, but Asuka pins her or whatever, submits her to win the title.
So the match would kind of like in the vein of Seth when he jumped
exactly.
in. Okay.
Exactly, except Carmella loses and Asuka wins.
Okay. A lot of people are thinking Carmella's going to cash in because she set like some record of holding that briefcase the longest out of anybody in the company. So I guess it does make sense. So I like Roy's scenario, but I think they're just going to have Asuka beat Charlotte and then Carmella will do something. I also
by the way, Lance Storm had a fabulous tweet regarding that record, saying that she set a record for doing nothing for the longest time.
She walked around with a briefcase. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting no pop whatsoever, by the way.
Yeah.
She carried James Ellsworth all the time.
She did. She was awesome live. I just saw her live a couple weeks ago, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs and was pretty much the most entertaining person in the ring for that show. So I think she's awesome, but I do agree.
Those tights that like really right up the crotchal area.
The vagina slings is what people always call them.
Not the word.
I'm going to think she cashes in but fails. Like she'll be like the Baron Corbin thing where they cash in and nothing happens. And then I think Alexa Bliss retains. The 2 tag title matches, we have Sheamus and Cesaro against Braun Strowman and a partner of his choosing. Is he actually going to reveal a partner? Because I know that thing was...
Yes.
Did you think that was funny, Mike, on Raw? Because everyone thought that was hilarious, and I thought that was awkward.
No. You know, they've done a lot of funny things with Braun Strowman, with the big cello and him playing and all that stuff and the piano shit. That was one of their weaker attempts at humor. It was very half-hearted. I didn't like it.
Brain Strowman is what they thought was hilarious. So I'll start with you. What do you got? There's the SmackDown Tag Title match. It's a triple threat: Usos versus New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers, who Doug loves with all of his heart. So who do you got in both tag title matches? Mikey.
Oh, me. In the tag title matches, I'm going to go with Braun Strowman and Big Show to win the tag titles.
Ooh.
And I got to go with my boys, the Bludgeon Brothers. I fucking love that. That is so much fun.
Douglas, what are your picks?
I will take my favorite Bludgeon Brothers of Cheese to win the titles because they're so cheese-erific. I love them. And I will have the Bar retaining against Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt.
All right. Roy.
I got Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt winning the titles. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Usos retain.
Okay. I think I'm kind of with Roy in that. I feel like the Bludgeon Brothers winning seems too predictable, but I'm going to say they win because they're just so much fun to watch. I could watch them beat people up all day. And then I think, Braun's winning with whoever he picks. I like the Big Show idea. I thought Elias was going to be his pick, but I guess he's booked in the Andre match, so that's probably not going to happen now. Let's go to there's a lot of triple threat matches on this card. Jesus, it's triple threat city. Well, actually, no, this one changed. Fatal 4-way. So let's do the Intercontinental Championship, triple threat, Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. And I always say Finn Balor. It drives people nuts. So I'm just going to keep saying it because it drives people nuts. And then the
Fonz. Call the Fonz.
Call the Fonz. He is the Fonz. Then the U.S. title match, the Fatal 4-way, Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, and Rusev. I will start with Douglas. Who do you got in those matches?
Oh, God. Intercontinental title, I have The Miz retaining. U.S. title, I think I went with Jinder Mahal.
Okay.
Yeah, I went with Jinder Mahal on that, yeah.
Roy, did I give... Yeah, I'll go to Roy next. I thought I didn't give you a pick for the SmackDown tag titles, but you did. Sorry.
No, I did. I'm going to go with, I think, Finn Balor gets the Intercontinental title. On SmackDown, I guess anyone but Randy Orton at this point. I'd love Rusev, and I'm waiting for his freaking entrance. You know what? I'll go with Jinder Mahal.
Ah, so you go with the Indian guy. So it's just wait. What's with
It's
all
the beard. It's the beard.
It's the beard. Okay, all right. I was just checking. Yeah. Mikey, who do you got?
Well, looking at the program for WrestleMania and seeing how Rusev looks like they just took a sticker of his head and just put it on the thing. Like he was added to this thing because he's so red hot right now. WWE never, ever goes with the hot hand normally. They just go with whoever was scripted to, that's our plans. That's it. I think you got to go with Rusev in the U.S. title match. I think you'd be fucking insane if you didn't. And, The Miz, because fuck Finn Balor.
All right. I'm going to go with Jinder winning the U.S. title, and then I'm going to say Seth Rollins gets the Intercontinental title, even though they've been kind of sticking with Miz for a while. I thought they would maybe stick with Miz. And then I guess you could call these the top 4 matches on the show. This is what I'm looking forward to the most. And Doug, just tried to shatter any kind of love I have for Daniel Bryan via text earlier in the week. I sent him the clip, you got to watch this segment with Daniel Bryan beating the living fuck out of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. He's like, yeah, I thought it was stupid. Didn't really like it. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Did you not watch the same thing I watched? And Doug's like, yeah, I just kind of cringed the whole time. I didn't really think it was that great. I cannot wait for Daniel Bryan to come back tomorrow. I'm so happy about this. I honestly got to the point where I was like, well, he's just done. He's retired. That's it. So I never thought I was going to see this again. So we'll talk about those. We'll get picks for those. Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. The stipulation is that if Daniel and Shane win, Kevin and Sami are gone. If Kevin and Sami win, they are reinstated to SmackDown. And then, of course, the Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon match. I will start with the man who crushed my love of Daniel Bryan via text message, Mr. Doug Lackey.
No, it's just a given. Owens and Zayn are coming back. Daniel Bryan's getting turned on. There you go.
By Shane O'Mac?
Of course.
Okay.
Because Shane O'Mac ain't going to do crap in this match.
Nope. He's
going to stand at ringside, not do jack. He'll grab a chair and whack. So there you go.
What about the Ronda Rousey debut? What do you got in there?
Oh, Rousey's going to win. And just like how Shane McMahon, she's going to do jack and crap. It's going to be Kurt Angle and Triple H in the ring the whole time. Steph gets in there. Ronda grabs her arm. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Go get some nachos.
Mikey, who you got in those matches?
Well, I really hope the Daniel Bryan match is one of the matches that I get to recap tomorrow. I'm really I am really, really, really looking forward to that match. And I really, really want Daniel Bryan to lose just because I just want to see the reaction. I just want to see the reaction of the internet on that one, to see him losing his match back.
Yes.
I think they do lose, though. I actually think that's going to happen. I think Shane turns on him. I think it'd be insane if Daniel Bryan was the one to go heel. That would just be catastrophically stupid. They tried that once already, and it was catastrophically stupid. And Ronda Rousey, and of course, what else could possibly fucking happen there? They're paying $1 gazillion for her to be there. They're not going to beat her the first night.
Roy, thoughts?
Yeah, I fully agree with Mike and Doug. I just think the Raw match, that Ronda Rousey one's gonna suck so much because logically if you think of it, she can't do much in the ring, which is normal. And then you have Kurt Angle, who constantly looks like he's constipated when he's standing, and he fucking moves slow as hell. And that's not gonna be pretty. That's gonna be a horrible match, horrible match.
So
we saw Kurt at the Survivor Series.
So you're calling this as the worst match on the card, then?
Yes.
Okay.
By far.
Oh boy! All right.
You thought Triple H Sting was awkward.
Kurt Angle, he sounds like he just munched on a bunch of oxys before he comes out for every promo. He's just like,
Did you see him mispronounce Becky Lynch's name the other week when he was trying to announce her? I think he called her Betchy Lynch or Betchy. He did something, and then they just
Drinka
somewhere Mike Adamle is vindicated.
Really? He's like, really?
He botched Ronda Rousey's name as well. Can't pronounce it WWE. So there's that as well.
It happens. I'm kind of in agreement with you guys about Ronda. that she'll probably. The problem is Stephanie's not a good wrestler. I mean, she's not an active wrestler. I saw some footage of Ronda at the Performance Center, and when she was executing scoop slams, she was doing it so rough that it would suck to have to work out with her, but it's going to take some time. I'm honestly more curious what we're going to get with her after WrestleMania, because this has been the build for so many weeks after the Rumble. Is she going to be the Brock Lesnar character that just kind of shows up for the big events? Now, starting effectively after WrestleMania, all the brands are going to come together for the pay-per-views now, starting with Backlash. So is she going to be involved with those shows? Is it going to be only the big four during the year? I'm more intrigued about that, because kind of like what Roy was saying, this is probably, I don't know how much Kurt can do, and Ronda is going to be very limited when she's in there with Stephanie. So this was a pretty big gamble to put this group of people together in a match, but we'll see if they can pull it off. I'd love to see them pull it off, but I think it's going to stink. So I'm kind of in agreement with Roy, but I think Ronda's going to get the win with Kurt. But
I will say this. I just want to say this. I think it's actually going to be pretty darn good, actually, because just like the reason why the NXT matches are usually pretty darn good, because they just sit in the Performance Center all day and just rehearse all their shit. I think that they practiced this match quite a few times. I think they'll surprise a few people. I think she'll do more than you think.
All right. I'm willing to be surprised. I was surprised by AJ and Shane last year, so I'm willing to be surprised.
I'm not expecting anything wrestling related.
You just
It's going to be a lot of goofy faces, a lot of running around, a lot of chicken shit stuff happening. You think a suplex is going to be happening? Nope. It's going to be a poke in the eye. You think there's going to be some kind of rest spot with submission holds? Nope. It's going to be a punch in the face, and there's going to be running around the outside of the ring.
You'll have
going to be nothing involving professional wrestling by anyone's imagination if they loved TakeOver. This is going to be the match that I'm going to love, because this is 1980s shit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? This is a Triple H and Stephanie Carey job where it's nothing but emoting, facial expressions, and flopping around like dead fish because you got poked in the eye. Okay? That's what this is going to be. Welcome to professional wrestling, Ronda Rousey. Don't worry about scoop slams. Just tug at people's hair, slap them in the face. You're a woman.
Do judo tosses too. She's good with that. I enjoyed watching her
if you
judo.
Want to.
Yeah.
But you don't need to do that. Lana's not a professional wrestler. Look how great she is. Come on.
There you go. And then I think the Daniel Bryan Shane thing's gonna. Everyone's expecting heel turn. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they'll win and beat Kevin and Sammy, and then Sammy will go to Raw or something. I'm expecting some roster shakeup like they did last year. So that's kind of how I see that one going. And then the two title matches. We have the Dream match. That's a dream.
Japan.
Doug watched their match in New Japan. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. Japan. And then Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, which is expected to close the show tomorrow in New Orleans. So I will start with Douglas. What do you got in the title matches?
AJ retains, leading to Shinsuke being shipped to Raw. And Roman wins the title. Which soon, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens at WrestleMania, or maybe it happens on Monday, but we see a Heyman swerve.
Heyman swerve. Okay. That'd be interesting. Mikey, title matches. Who you got?
I got to go with, I think they are going to give Shinsuke the title, and I think Roman's definitely going to get the title.
Okay. Roy?
I'm going with AJ retaining and Roman, obviously. Although, like Doug said, I could definitely see some sort of Heyman swerve type of thing, a la WrestleMania 17 or something like that.
Okay. Because they've done that before with Paul turning on Brock when they did that, when he aligned himself with the Big Show at Survivor Series in like 2003, I want to say, maybe 2003, maybe ish.
Heyman swerves are fun swerves.
They are fun. Yeah, it was too. Yeah, you're right. I feel like they've been investing so much time in Shinsuke that to not give him the championship would be a waste of time. So I think they're.
But it's so WWE. Come on.
It is, but I can't imagine them doing this big build and then just kind of going, nah, we're not going to do that. So I mean, they could change their mind. I don't know. But I think they're going to have Shinsuke win the title, and then I think Roman Reigns is going to somehow win the championship.
I want him to win specifically for that guy that comments on like all my recaps going, I can't believe that WWE's letting these two Japs get title shots at WrestleMania.
They said
I want
that?
to win that guy. Fuck you, guy.
He used the word Japs to talk about them?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's such an old insult.
Actually, I said to him, I just go, you are disgusting.
That's kind of uncomfortable.
To comment on that, like very, very quickly, if they were to give the title to Nakamura and to Asuka, so if you have both of them on SmackDown as champions, none of them could cut a promo.
Yes.
You have two champions that can't cut a promo on the same brand.
Are you that guy?
No, I'm not that guy.
He's not that guy, but he's just he's well. So
but like if you think of it,
Asuka can actually speak English better than you think. It's Shinsuke that has the real struggle with it. But that is a genuine criticism. AJ's got a real thick Southern accent, so it's not like he's a phenomenal promo guy, but he's definitely better than he was in his early days with TNA. But, he's got that very sick Southern, I'll tell you what, man, I'm AJ Styles. And just, it's not that great, but it gets the job done. But I don't know. I was watching that. They did this 40-minute documentary on him. And I'm just like, man, how do they not at least try it? At least just go with something. Just give it an opportunity. But it's a genuine criticism. I understand what that means.
He does speak English. In that documentary, you could see him.
Not great, but he does.
He does say more than need to face.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I can't believe people are saying stuff like that in the comments. I'm like, geez, there's some angry fucks out there that are just...
Yeah, and then he could have left it there, but other people actually responded to him, and he's like, "Well, I don't understand. They come to this country, why can't they just speak the language?" I'm like,
"Well, because that's not the language they grew up with. It's like
make America hate again."
Yeah, it's very much a lot of that stuff on there. So yikes! I did not know that was happening in the comments, but that's usually, as Doug always says, don't scroll down and everything will be fine. So
it is wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Sushi, where I come from, that's called bait.
It's very much like what that guy sounds like, I'm sure. Very much so. All right, everybody.
Why their cartoon characters got so many big eyes when they don't?
So Shifty Gizm in the chat said Shinsuke is fine with the English. Go listen to Jericho's podcast. WWE probably tells him to go out and act silly. Maybe he is. Anytime I've ever heard him try to speak English, even in that documentary, they had to have subtitles. So if you have to have subtitles, it means you probably don't speak English very well, unless they are intentionally, like you said, trying to make it seem that way. But they had to use subtitles in the documentary. So.
Maybe he's speaking it really well, and we're all speaking it really badly.
Well, it's kind of like when I just...
You are American.
Well, we are Americans. I listened. I watched the Andre the Giant documentary that's going to be premiering on Tuesday, and they had to use subtitles constantly for Andre, just because of the tone of his voice. He was very hard to understand. But I tend to think if you're using subtitles, that means your accent's very thick and it's hard to understand. But he goes, they give subtitles to people on Swamp People, and there's no issue. I guess they could subtitle the Shinsuke promos if they really want to. But I like how Mike has his hand on his fist like this, and he's just looking into the camera, and he's looking all stoic right now. And yeah, let's get a close up shot of Mike just doing the little pose like that. Pondering WrestleMania, as Mikey did. By the way, I have to thank Mike here publicly. He's going to be helping me out with the recap tomorrow, because usually I want to fucking kill myself when I have to recap WrestleMania for 7 hours. But Mike is nice enough to step in, and you're going to do the first 6 matches, and then I'll do the last 6, or we'll figure out how we want to do it, or I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it. I think that's the way to go, though. I just really, I just really wanted to get a shot at WrestleMania. So
we might have to figure out the number again, because there's more than, I think there's, how many matches? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 matches.
So there's
is Is that counting Cena Taker?
I was about to say, because that's 13 matches, 3 on the undercard, so you have 10 going on the main card for a 4.5 hour long show. 10 matches, 4.5 hours to 5 hours.
And Roy just brought up Cena Undertaker because they have that in the promo or in the program. It's a picture of Cena and then a big question mark over the Undertaker. So,
number one, does the match happen?
I think so. I think they're gonna do something. I like the fact that he just hasn't done anything, and then he might just show up at Mania. But a lot of people want him to be American Badass Undertaker. I do not want to see that. I will take a hard pass on that one. But I don't know. We had this conversation last year, Doug. We're like, okay, this was already two WrestleManias well past the expiration date, but I haven't totally hated the build for this. It's different. It's something they haven't done before with him. They always have him advertised well ahead on the card. So I don't know.
I see him making an appearance, but it's not as Dead Man Undertaker. It's not as American Badass Undertaker. He comes out as Clint Eastwood Gran Torino Undertaker.
Okay. Old man
where he's
Undertaker.
just angry that kids are in his yard, And so he just shows up and tells, look, I'll just kick your ass next year, okay?
Right.
My cell phone don't work anymore. That's why I use my wife's Instagram. Come on. Pick up a hint. Come on.
She was actually really funny on Twitter this week. There was someone was tweeting at her that said, how come your husband didn't show up on Raw and accept John Cena's challenge the week before WrestleMania? She's like, I don't know, but we had breakfast together this morning, so maybe I can ask him later. She's just totally just trolling everybody on Twitter. It was so much fun. But good point, Roy. I didn't really think about that. So then we should be even there, Mikey, if that happens. But we'll have to find out. So start time is 5 Eastern for the kickoff show, I think.
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah. Oof. That's an early. So that's the other thing, too. I got to get used to that, Doug. It's like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, and you're just not used to something that important starting. But yeah.
Imagine living on the West Coast, 2 p.m.
Ooh, yeah. It's 4 p.m. Pacific is what they said on here. So
you could make that a whole barbecue. That sounds fantastic.
Whole
No,
barbecue.
tailgate.
Yeah.
Whole barbecue there.
I tried doing that in San Francisco, and that Undertaker entrance did not look neat in the daylight.
It sure didn't. It sure looked awkward. I was not a fan of that one. I don't know why they didn't time that one up better, but
Or the Bray Wyatt one as well.
yeah, that was weird too.
Well, I gotta say though, you're talking about the sun killing the Undertaker's entrance. Next year, they're going to be here in my home state of New Jersey, which you guys will be here as well.
It's gonna be cool.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to.
We've been having snow. We had snow Monday. We had snow fucking yesterday. And this is WrestleMania season. Could you imagine if it snows at WrestleMania? How cool that would be.
I was actually, while NXT was on tonight, I looked at the weather for East Rutherford, and it's supposed to be like in the 50s this week, and then it gets up to the 60s. But did you go to the show at MetLife, Mike?
Oh yeah.
And you said it was cold as fuck, right?
It was chilly. It was nippy.
It was chilly. It was a little bit nippy. They had to do a lot of production for that show. They had to install a heater system under the ring. They had to cut holes in the poles in the corners so that hot air could be blown out from the bottom of the ring into the ring so they didn't freeze their ass off when they were out there wrestling. But I think Paul went to that too. Didn't Paul go to that show, Roy? I thought he was at that show, but he was telling me he said it was super cold. So did you meet Paul when he was there?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
I have a really great story about Paul real quick. It's he was there with friends, and I took a lot of pictures at the event, and he's like, oh yeah, man, let's meet up after, and then we'll go out for a couple of beers and stuff. I'm like, oh cool, yeah, sure, man, yeah, sure, whatever. And my phone was just dead. I didn't have a charger. I didn't bring an extra battery with me, and he must have called me a bunch of times. And I get these messages where he's like, hey, Mike, it's Paul, just trying to get connected to you and see what, and I hear his friends in the background, fuck that guy, just move on, forget it. Like,
fuck that guy, fuck Mike.
He needs better friends.
Yeah, Paul has some interesting friends.
Yeah, I know who he went with too.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff. Well, maybe we'll get that experience next year. That'll be fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll just turn the tables on him this time.
Yeah, we'll say, hey, fuck Paul.
Maybe you'll call him and go, hey, Paul, we're just trying to figure out, and I'll be in the background. Fuck that guy.
Fuck Paul. What does he know? Who gives a shit? No, that was fun. I had a blast in Miami, but again, we had super nice weather when we were in Miami, and this is going to be different in New Jersey, so I hope it's not super cold, but we'll find out.
It'll be super cold. We're going to freeze our asses off. There's no way to get around it. We're just going to have to drink more.
Yep.
We had
right.
minus 20 degrees weather yesterday, so pretty fucking cold.
It's going to be not so. But you're also in Montreal, though, where it's like a goddamn igloo like 80% of the year. So
it got up to 45 here, and I'm in Charlotte.
I'm supposed to get 5 inches of snow tomorrow night during WrestleMania here in the Midwest. So this is going to stink if the weather is really bad. And I was expecting that too when they made the announcement. I was like, shit. I remember Mike telling me just like this is not a good idea to be.
Our ecosystem's fucked. Let's just have WrestleMania underground.
Yeah, underground WrestleMania. That'd be fine. But the MetLife doesn't have any kind of retractable roof, does it? Okay.
No. I went to a soccer match in November in MetLife. Fuck, it was like zero degrees. Literally cold as hell.
Yikes. I'm not.
You're still a fan.
Yeah, well, he's loyal. Roy's loyal.
Yeah. They have soccer in New Jersey?
Yeah, apparently.
Just because you saw guys kicking a can down the road doesn't make it a soccer match in New Jersey.
No, yeah, it was an international friendly match.
Nice.
So just because they weren't wearing shirts that had different languages on it and they were kicking a can down the road in New Jersey doesn't necessarily make it a soccer match.
Just the same.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be here tomorrow night after WrestleMania to talk about that show and give our thoughts. We're going to be on late too, but we'll be here no matter what. So we'll give our thoughts on the WrestleManias. And then Monday night, we will also be live after Raw goes off the air too. So we're just going to smack you with tons of podcasts this weekend since it's WrestleMania weekend. It's Christmas weekend for us, as Douglas has pointed out.
We're going to complain about WWE pushing out all the content, but we're going to push out all the content too.
On our end too, yeah.
How you like that?
Exactly. We'll complain. That's what we do. We're wrestling fans. We complain about stuff, Doug. Just is what it is. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, there is an audio version of this podcast on SoundCloud or iTunes. Just search Wrestleview Media, or you can, of course, stare at our beautiful faces here on YouTube. That's an alternative as well. Thank you for tuning in live. A lot of people tuning in live tonight. We appreciate that. I didn't know if they'd want to show up on a Saturday night, but we appreciate that. And we will be back here. Well, that too. And NXT was on. And then I guess I don't even want to give a number, Doug, because I feel like if we tell people we're going to be here, I mean, it's just whenever WrestleMania is done, we'll be showing up within 10 or 15 minutes. How about that?
Look, yeah, just get on the things, get on the Facebooks, get on the Twitter.
Yeah.
We're going to show up.
We'll tell you.
We'll
go
just
live
let you know.
when we go live. That's how we'll put it.
We haven't let you hanging before, honey.
Yeah, exactly. We won't let you. We won't let you down.
No, we won't forget about you. You're special.
Exactly.
No, you just stare at your phone like you always do, and we'll tell you when we're on.
Exactly. Then we'll show up and say hello.
Bye.
All right, everybody. We are going to get out of here. My thanks to Doug Lackey. He is at Doug Wrestleview on the Twitter. Mike Tedesco at Mike Tedesco WV on the Twitter. And, of course, Roy Nemmer, who is just at Roy Nemmer on the Twitter. And we will be back here tomorrow night following WrestleMania to talk about a very, very long episode. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, everybody. Follow us on the YouTubes. Please subscribe, by the way. If you watch us a lot on YouTube, we appreciate the subscribing because that helps the content and the distribution and all that fun stuff. And, of course, look up Wrestleview Media on iTunes or SoundCloud if you would rather listen to us than stare at us. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.